Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Financial Lovemaking. This is where we talk about love, life, money, and everything in between. I'm here with my buddy partner and co-host, Miss Estia Brown, who is also a licensed therapist and lifestyle and pop culture expert. Did I say it right to you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
That's a
So yeah,
lot.
I
And you're
just
a financial expert.
I'm trying.
PhD.
Me, yeah, I do have
You
a
know?
PhD. I do have one of those.
Yeah.
And for all those fake ass PhDs out here, just know I worked for mine. I was in school for like a decade. So you're talking to some people that really went to school. You got those people that get those like PhDs on the back of a cereal box or whatever, or
Ooh.
they become therapists
Or
just
they
because
have they're experts with no
they
expertise.
right, right there you go. Or they're giving advice and they don't actually have a license to give advice. Like
Right.
you,
For
you went to
yeah.
Columbia. You went to Columbia and NYU, right?
For different things. Yes, I went to Columbia for journalism and I went to NYU for social work.
You
Life
are so
skills.
smart, so
Yeah.
smart. And you know what's funny? Here's the funny thing, and I'm gonna stop talking about it after this. But I was accepted to Columbia for my PhD. I just turned them down. I went to University of Rochester instead, which actually I left that and finished at Ohio State. But also NYU was actually this my top school. Like that was my dream school, and they took 400 applicants to get into the PhD program for 8 spots.
Oh
And do
wow.
you know that I was number 9 on the list, right? And the guy said, normally, if you're number 9 on the list, you're going to get an invitation because one of the top 8 that they pick is going to go somewhere else, like Harvard or something like that. They said
Yeah.
that was the only year where all 8 people they accepted, took their
Yeah.
letter of acceptance or whatever, or they all decided to go to NYU.
You decided to
So,
attend.
yeah, so if one person had changed their decision, that would have changed my life. So it's kind of like this cosmic connection that we have there. I think so, right?
Okay.
Really, I mean Columbia, NYU. I think that's significant. But I love both of those schools too. My goddaughter went to Columbia and she had a great time. That's a cool school. I
I
almost
also
wish
went to
I'd
Howard
gone.
University. I always have to shout that out. I'm a Bison. I loved attending Howard as well. So, I have a pretty good academic pedigree. And it's prepared me to do things like talk about pop culture and life skills issues, such as Kenya Moore and her
Kenya
latest demise.
Moore. Yeah, she's one of the ladies that got in the fight with the other uh, pretty lady, the other superficial lady with pretty eyes.
Okay,
Uh,
so we're doing a lot of judgmental terms out, superficial.
that was some underhanded hating. That was
Yeah. Okay, so I
backdoor
think you're
hating.
referring to the physical altercation Kenya Moore got into last at the end of last season's Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, where they got into a physical fight, a physical altercation, or whatever, and Portia pulled Kenya's hair, but she pulled it down to the ground. And it was kind of a big thing, but Portia was able to redeem herself. She stayed on the show. The ladies are still back and forth during the last season, which just recently wrapped. And speaking of the season wrapping, one of the huge things that came out shortly after the season finale is that the gentleman, his name is James Freeman, that Kenya was supposedly dating, that she met on the Millionaire Matchmaker, was married. And we find out that he got married just 1 week after that episode of her on the Millionaire Matchmaker aired, and that was like in late March.
Hmm.
So people are saying Kenya is allegedly continuing to lie, because this is the second quote unquote fake relationship that has been she's kind of been outed for. Now to in all fairness, when shows like the Millionaire Matchmaker actually tape, it's months in advance, right? So that show taped probably like the end of 2014, and dating dating is very loose, right? So she never said that they were extremely dating exclusively or on their way to marriage. She was always very playful and flirtatious when she talked about their dating. But they do have two very different stories about what happened. His side, which is also shared a lot by his new wife, is that they dated casually, a few times, and then he met the wife via Match.com. Him and the wife hit it off, and they were married 3 months after they met. And him and Kenya didn't see each other and really talked. The wife also alleges that Kenya sent a couple of correspondences that said, kind of need to talk, kind of alluding to let's keep the storyline going. There's something that could be beneficial for both of us. A lot of people vilify Kenya for this. I think that there are two major issues here. Number one, there's a tremendous pressure for women of a certain age to be married, right? You're not whole, you're not complete, you haven't, proven your worth until someone else has validated you. And this happens a lot on the show. They throw around back and forth, you're married, you've never been married. Even if you're divorced, at least at some point someone has chosen you. And so there's a lot of pressure there. And then financially, we know for Kenya to be on the show, she has to have a storyline that keeps moving, right? And people don't want to just see you hanging around with your girlfriends and making, sitcoms that never come to fruition. They want to hear about your dating life. And for Kenya, this is kind of her bread and butter, being able to stay on the show at this point. So as much as it's disappointing, to hear that she's kind of playing with things in the background, it's also very understandable because she's pressured financially and personally to kind of make something work, at least in public eye. What do you think?
Wow. So you're saying that she kind of monetizes these fake relationships, in order to kind of create an artificial storyline that people will become somehow fascinated with, which is really interesting. I mean, because when you look at Kenya Moore, I don't necessarily like the personality, but then again, I think unfortunately, a lot of the reality show women they tend to lean toward the superficial, the very shallow, in the sense that, seriously, they put it this way, they seem to put a lot more energy into how they look on the outside than how they look on the inside. And because you're in your 30s, you shouldn't be on TV pulling each other's hair and fighting and all this other crazy stuff. Kids are watching. They're looking up to you, and you're supposed to be the adult. But
it's unfortunate that you become more popular the better you look and the more drama that you have, which directly impacts your finances.
Absolutely, and that really is the tragedy of a lot of certain kinds of reality TV, is that it really has begun to reward things that we have to ask ourselves that if we should be rewarding these things. They become like these arena dogfights that are just televised, thrown on TV, and people make money from that, which is fine. But it's funny to me too. As a man, I'm thinking, wow, Kenya Moore, she's so beautiful, and she seems to have a little bit of money. Maybe she's not as rich as she appears to be. So it's sad to see a person so beautiful, so well off, so famous appear to be so desperate. When I was reading about the emails she was sending this guy, trying to keep the storyline going, trying to at least the way it was presented, it was almost like she was trying to bait him into a face-to-face meeting. And I'm like, okay, either she likes this guy and she's trying to reel him in, or she just needs him to help her maintain this facade. Either way, it's just kind of sad, because you're thinking, my goodness, you're Kenya Moore. You're so pretty. Why don't you have a real relationship?
Or any woman, and we do put beauty on a pedestal, because even as we're talking about how people are rewarded on reality TV for being beautiful, we're constantly saying that she is beautiful. So it's something that we all do have value in. But it's okay to say, I haven't met the right person for me yet, and it's taking time. Or do some introspective work. Are there some, personal things that I need to work on? Kenya shared that she's had a lot of trauma. Her mom denied her most of her life, and emotionally, she's gone through a lot.
Sorry, that was my cell phone. Keep talking.
We didn't even hear it ringing. Thank you for.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the alarm went off. Sorry about that.
So I understand why there's pressure, but I think the bigger thing is that for women watching, for men watching, the lesson is that you have to be mindful of how you succumb to these pressures, and how we continue to perpetuate these stereotypes and values. It's not just because she's beautiful or well-to-do that she deserves happiness. It's because as a human being, we all deserve some level of fulfillment, and we need to work towards being our best selves to attain that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think maybe honesty might be the best policy. I think that the more she tries to maintain a facade, the more tabloids will be rewarded for revealing the facade, right? Which I don't know if that helps her or not, because they say all publicity can be good publicity, right? Especially since you're talking about reality TV, where people don't seem to have any shame. As long as the tabloids are talking about you, then you're good. You're gonna make money. It doesn't matter what they're saying about you or how horrible you end up looking. And that's the funny thing to me. That's the kind of weird world that we've created. And the last thing I'll say on this is that I talked to a 32-year-old brother in Atlanta, and he's a good guy. Had a he owns his own business, or he seemed like a good guy. I don't know. Kind of had it together, educated, all that stuff. And he said, I said, you ever gonna get married? And he said, yeah, I really want to get married, but there's no one that I've met that I want to marry. And I said, but you're in Atlanta. There are lots of single, educated black women here. And he said, yeah, but they all act like the women on these reality TV shows now. He said, now that's become the style to be, flashy, materialistic, without substance. And he said, I don't really want that. I want women that have substance, and they don't exist anymore. And now the only thing that people notice is the kind of car I drive or what kind of house I live in, and I'm thinking about building for the future, and I don't really see a lot of women who think that same way. Now I don't know if that was just him, maybe something's wrong with him.
So I always shy away from people who make those kind of all-inclusive comments. Like, there are great men out there are great women out there. It's what you're attracted to. So if you are attracted to, the fly girl who is, partying and looking sexy and seems like she has it going on, but you're only looking at the physical aspects, then she may also have some other things. But there are fly girls who are great women as well. So it's really about diversifying, who you're interacting with, so you can meet beautiful people who you're attracted to, that you vibe with, and that's for men and women. But we'd love to hear you guys give us your thoughts on this topic. Is it sad, or is it okay for Kenya Moore to kind of allegedly lie a little bit to make sure that her storyline continues, because her love and money are connected? Right. Let us know your thoughts.
Bye bye.